Hi, so I thought I'd just record this little video. It's the Cat C race in the Ribble Racing League, and this race is a scratch race, so there's no points for getting through any sprint segments or over the tops of any hills faster than anybody else. So I just thought I'd show the strategies and tactics that I use when I'm racing in this particular league, and maybe it'll be useful for anybody else in Cat C who wants to try and improve their performance. I'm not trying to be condescending or anything like that, so please don't take it that way. This is just the way that I tend to race. Everybody else has got their own techniques, their own methods, etc. So anyway, when we're racing in Cat C in this particular league, we are the last pen. So all pens get released at the same time, but the A, Bs and Ds are in front of us. So we're right at the very back in Cat C. So what you'll see right from the get-go is I press really, really hard to catch up with the Ds, catch up with the Bs, and get right out the front with the A's. So here I go, over 700 watts. And what's really important here is that you don't drag any other Cat Cs with you. So if you look where I am, I haven't got any Cat Cs behind me, so I'm not pulling anybody with me. I'm fully expecting some other Cat Cs to end up at the front of the race with me, but the main thing for me here is that any Cat Cs that end up at the front of the race with me have worked just as hard as me to get there, and that I haven't given them an easy ride. Okay, so we set up a little bit here, take stock. I'll change the view on the camera, just check behind me as well, make sure that I'm not pulling anybody with me. I'm not. And so now we settle in the front pack. I'm up to 30th, right at the very front of the race. So what I'm doing at this point now is I'm positioning myself near the front of the race, and I'm also looking at the riders on the right hand side to see if any Cat Cs come up and join me, and I'm fully expecting some to come up and join me. So I'm just sitting here waiting, and then I notice that the line of riders in front of me starts getting a little bit long. So I just press on a little bit harder now, just make sure that there's no gaps between me and the group in front. I'm not necessarily trying to get to the front of it, but I just don't want it to gap me. So I just sort of make sure I get on the back of this train and make sure it doesn't get too far away from me. Now you notice I'm using Source for Zwift, so that helps me keep an eye on my average watts per kilo. So you see at the moment I'm up at 4.6 average watts per kilo. I need to get that down below 3.4 in the first 20 minutes. So I'm also keeping an eye on that and making sure that wherever possible I'm trying to conserve energy. So here we are, so we've got T.VP. He's come up now, Cat C rider. He's just behind me now, so I'm now giving him a draft, which is not ideal. So what I'm looking to try and do now, as quickly as possible really, is to get him in front of me. So if anything, he's working for me, not me for him. So I'm just sort of easing off the power a tiny bit. Still, pressing quite hard, but just sort of trying to sort of make sure that my energy, wherever possible, is less than his energy. Now you notice there's a bit of a gap now, so now I'm thinking actually maybe I press up to this group in front of me and I try and drop him, but then he comes past me anyway, and I can see he's got the same idea now, so he's now thinking I'm going to press up to that group in front of me and drop me, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's 4.3 watts average still. If I go with that front group, they're going to be really, really pressing hard. Am I going to be able to get back down to 3.4 watts average? And I just wasn't too sure, and I wasn't comfortable, and I didn't want to get disqualified from the race for going too hard in the first 20 minutes. So I decided to let him go, and I decided that I'm going to drop into a different group, and I'm not too sure what that group is at this stage, but I'm thinking these guys around me at the moment look like good candidates. They're Cat Bs, Cat As. They're going to push fairly hard, so I'm hoping I might be able to get a little bit of shelter from them. This guy seems to just stop pedaling, which has annoyed me a little bit because he's left me a bit of a gap now to catch up with the people in front of me. So I've now decided that the two people in front of me, they're the guys that I want to roll along with. So I'm just going to roll up to them. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to go into a sprint. I'm just going to keep pressing on the pedals fairly hard. And my intention here is to make sure that I get onto the back of them before the downhill. And then that way I can rest in behind them, take a bit of a breather, let them do some of the work out the front. And then I can start trying to get my watts per kilo down. You can see that I've already got it down to 4. So we're going in the right direction now. Just coming up for 4.5 minutes in. And I just roll onto the back of them here. Just, keeping it all under control, not going crazy. Let the draft do the work. And now you can see, if you look at the draft that that Source is showing at the top, I'm getting some quite good draft figures. If I can get really tucked in behind them, I'm up around about that 170 watts saved. So that means I'm doing 170 watts less than the person in front, or 170 watts less than I would be doing if I was up front for the same speed. Not necessarily 170 less than somebody else is doing. But even here, if I get tucked in behind somebody, you see as I swing in behind this chap here, 116 watts average saved. So that's a decent saving. And you can see that my watts average now going down 3.6, starting to get back down to where I want it to be, which is 3.4. This chap comes flying through. I've been keeping an eye on him. I don't think he wants to do a breakaway necessarily. He just happened to come through quite quickly. So I'm fairly confident that we're all going to bunch up with him. Just in case, I kind of roll past this this Cat B guy, just to make sure that there isn't a break going on, but there isn't. So now we're a group of 4, and this suits me just nicely. We can work together. But I noticed behind me there's a chap called S. McKay, Cat C rider. And there's another Cat C rider just near him as well, and keep popping onto the bottom of the screen on the right hand side there. So I've got my eye on them. Now they're working quite hard. This S. McKay chap, he's obviously incentivized to catch me and catch this group. So I'm now going to tuck in, conserve energy, let these guys do all the work, let this S. McKay guy, or girl, this S. McKay person, let them do as much work as they can to try and catch me, because I know that we've got a hill coming up. So so do as little as possible along here. Let them roll up to me. I'm keeping an eye on him. They have caught up a little bit, so they were 6 seconds at the beginning of this flat section. They're now 5 seconds away. Now they're 4 seconds away. So they are working hard to come onto the back of us. And I obviously don't want that to happen. That doesn't work for me at all, having another Cat C rider in this little group. So I'm keeping an eye. They're now 3 seconds away. I'm still not too concerned because I know they're not going to catch us at the bottom of the hill at this rate. Now they're 2 seconds away. We start hitting the climb. And now what I'm trying to do now is incentivize my entire team that are around me, my little group, to press a bit harder. So I'm going to start working quite hard now, up around that sort of 4 or 5 watts, 6 watts average, that kind of stuff. Really pressing on the pedals hard. Roll up to this guy who's in front of me, and then try and drag these other 3 riders that are with me as well, because obviously they don't want to break away getting away in front of them either. So they're incentivized a little bit to come along. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of a 2 second gap now to my group that I was with, but Cat A riders in there, Cat B riders in there. I'm not too concerned. I'm pretty certain they're going to be able to get back on top of us quite quickly. So I tuck in here, just get my breath back a little bit, and just sort of conserve a little bit of energy again. And then you'll see behind me that S. McKay now is 6 seconds away. So all that effort he done to bridge over to me on the flat has all been for nothing. He's lost all of that advantage now. And of course, he's already going to be tired I say they are already going to be tired at the bottom of that hill because they've already worked hard, whereas I hit the bottom of that hill quite fresh. So still keeping an eye, making sure that they're not making any inroads. They're not really. They're just kind of stuck out there at that sort of 5 second mark, 4 or 5 second mark. So I'm quite comfortable with this at the moment. I'm expecting the other two guys that are in my group to come along and catch us fairly soon. And then we'll be 4 or 5 again. And as soon as we're 4 or 5 again, we can bunch up and start creating a bit of a blob. Now you see this chap, this Cat A rider, he's gone straight through, and I thought he was going to ease up and let us all blob onto him, but actually he's pressing on the pedals quite hard. So it's to my advantage now that I get the rest of this group onto the back of him. So I've had a nice little rest, and now I'm going to come through, press on the pedals again nice and hard. Really good sort of deep effort here. I can't see, he's about a couple of seconds up the road, is he? My intention here is to really pull him back quite a bit, but not do all the work. Get the guys behind me incentivized to chase as well. Put a decent turn in, close the gap, and then sort of demonstrate to these other guys that he's catchable. So they can now see that we've closed him down a little bit. I've done a fair bit of work. I can see the guys behind me are fairly high watts per, watt average levels. So I'm just going to knock it off in a second, about now. Knock it off. I'm rolling along a decent-ish speed. I'll let these guys come through. I have gapped them a little bit, so it just takes them a few seconds to come through on me. But I let them come through. And as you can see now, they're incentivized to catch this chap in front as well. They're all pressing hard on the pedals. They realise that this Cat A rider hasn't got away. So they're all pressing hard on the pedals. I have a little rest here. And I'm just checking to see whether or not they're working hard enough or not. And it doesn't feel like they are working hard enough to me. But here we go, we're all together now. So, yep, this is good. And now if you look back now, S. McKay and Dan Newsom, they're dropping back now. So they're 8 seconds, 12 seconds, and M. Graves is 12 seconds. So this is good. So next challenge now is we've got a fairly punchy little climb. And it's absolute imperative at this stage that I get over the climb with some of these riders. If I get dropped now, I'll be in no man's land, and behind me will be a group of riders with Cat C riders in them. That simply cannot happen. So I'm looking at my average watts per kilo. I'm down to 3.3, so that means I've got a little bit in the bag now, because I can go up to 3.4 average. So I've got a little bit in the bag, and so now the intention here is to just rest as much as possible, and conserve as much energy as possible, get the heart rate down a little bit. I've got the feather, so I know I've got the best power up for me. I'm a fairly heavy rider, so I'm over 90 kilos, so feather is the best possible outcome for me in terms of a power up for this particular segment. I also know this segment fairly well, so I know that I need to use the power up in that second half of the segment where there's a really steep right-hander. I need to make sure that I stick with these guys until I'm in a position to use this power up for that steep right-hand corner. And if I can just get round there, it's about another 50 metres or so. After that, it starts levelling off, and then I should be okay. But I'm pretty nervous at this stage. I'm a heavy Cat C rider. I'm in a group of Cat A's and Cat B's. So who knows? Who knows how hard these guys are going to push, and who knows if I'm going to stay with them. But anyway, here we go. So we come up to the bottom of the hill. The other thing I tend to do with these things is at the beginning of these kinds of climbs, I always like to show that I'm that I'm strong enough. So I tend to just make sure I sort of stay near the front of the group rather than allow anybody to pull away. It just lets people know that I'm not fading. Lets people know that they haven't got the better of me straight away. It's just a bit of sort of psychology, really. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but it works in my mind, and so it's probably the most important thing. So we're not going up crazy fast, actually, which is a relief. Around that sort of 4.5, 5 watts per kilo. That's hard work for me. It's a fair bit of power for me, but it's doable. So I'm just tucking in now, making sure I stay with the group, and life's not too bad. Now it looks like the group are rolling away from me a little bit here, but I'm just conserving a little bit of energy because I know this is going to level out a little bit here, and here it does. It goes back down to 4 degrees, so I'm trying to not press too hard, and then I hit the feather, and then on this flattish section, 4%, the feather gets me right back into them. I've got the feather on the go for the 10 and 12%, which is ideal. I've still got the feather helping me as we come over the top of the little bump here, and then it starts to even out a little bit. We're back down to the 4%, and now I can see up in front of me I've got about 50, 60, maybe 100 meters, something like that. That's all I've got to survive. Heart rate's high, 171. That's a pretty decent heart rate for me. So I am close to the limit from my heart rate perspective. I can go a little bit deeper than that, but this is quite deep. But nonetheless, I'm here with them. I'm absolutely not going to let these guys get away from me now. So it's a case of just tucking in again, working hard, and getting over this last little rise, getting onto the flat, and then getting a bit of a draft. And of course, I know we're going to turn right up here, so there's another climb coming straight away, really. So it's really important now that on this little bit of bridge, as much as possible, I recover, and try and get some energy back, ready for the next climb. Because again, the Cat Cs, although they're dropping behind me, they're now 21 seconds behind me. There's nobody between me and them. Well, there is just one sea grouse, but if I get dropped out of this group, I'm done for. I won't be able to stay away from the Cat Cs behind me on my own because they're in a group. So I cannot allow myself to get dropped out of this group. So now I know that all I've got to do is get over the top of the next climb, and then there's a nice long downhill, full recovery, and away we go. Now I'm a little bit worried here because my average watts per kilo has gone up to 3.4 as a result of that little segment, and now we're going to climb again. We're almost certainly going to be at over 3.4, and I need to be at 3.4 or less at the 20-minute mark. So what I'm thinking now is I need to get up this little climb here in around about 90 seconds, 2 minutes max, really. So that I can get a good minute of really, really low power on the other side to try and bring my watts per kilo back down again. 3.4 is okay, but it's dancing with the devil a little bit. It's a little bit tight. I've seen people on 3.4 get bumped up to Cat B. I've seen people at 3.4 for 20 minutes get disqualified. So I'm thinking we really need to get over this little lump as quickly as possible now, so that when I hit the 20-minute mark, I'll be back down to 3.3. So anyway, here we go. 2 minutes left for the 20-minute mark. As far as I'm concerned, M. Graves, S. McKay, they're done for now. They're 20 seconds behind, over 20 seconds behind now. I'm not expecting to ever see those guys again. So I'm aware now that TVP, I think his name was, or their name was, got up the road with those Cat Bs. They was pulling really hard. I would be astonished if that Cat C rider stays with them. So I am expecting that group of cat bees that got up the road when we was going through the volcano to fragment up a little bit. So I'm expecting them to break up into smaller groups. And what I'm hoping here is that those groups are smaller than the group I'm in. Ideally, they break up into groups of 2s and 3s, because groups of 2s and 3s just don't travel along quite as fast as groups of 5 and 6. And so ideally, we should start reeling them in. And if you look at the map at the top, although you can't quite see who they are, you can already begin to see that in front of our group, there are already some other small groups. Can't quite see the colours of those groups, so I can't see if the Cat C guy's there or not. But I can definitely see it's beginning to fragment up, and that's what I'm looking for. Right, so we're on the downhill, ideally I would even want it to be at 3.3 on this downhill, but although I'm soft pedalling, and there you go, I'll just make it. So I'm soft pedalling, just come up for 20 minutes, we're at 3.3, so there's no risk now whatsoever of getting disqualified for being over the power limit for the first 20 minutes. And so now really we've got this lovely long downhill, and I can see people in front of me. Because I'm at 3.3, I know that I've got a little bit in the tank that I can give back to this group. It's not all about sitting in. If you've got some energy and you're on the downhill and you're a heavy rider, then why not give a little bit back to the group, help them out a little bit as well. So I dig in deep, just keep the speed up nice, do my turn on the front, and we make a little bit of inroads into the group in front. And all the time, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep these guys incentivized that the chase is worth doing. Keep these guys incentivized that I will do my part, and that I'm not just freeloading, because it is annoying when you've got somebody in the group that's just freeloading the whole way. So even though I'm a Cat C, just letting them know, where I can, I'm prepared to contribute, and prepared to do my bit to do the catch. Right, so we're at the bottom of the hill. We can see some people in front of us. I can't quite make out who they are, but they're definitely coming back to us, and it will definitely be to our advantage, if we catch this group. Even certainly to my advantage, maybe not quite as much for the guys around me, but certainly for me, this is every group we catch is to my advantage, because it gets me potentially closer to the Cat C person that got down the road. I'm looking at the list of riders in front of me. You can see I'm now in the front of my group, and I can't see the Cat C rider in the list of the group. But what I am doing is I'm working really hard again here, so I'm up 400 watts. I pull my group into this group, and look, now we're a group of 10 riders. So we've got a decent blob going on here, and if everybody starts working together, we are going to start travelling down the road at a fair pace, and that's what I'm hoping for. So again, I've done my work. I tuck back in again now. Let my heart rate come down a little bit. Start conserving some energy. Now, it's really important for me here that my group that I'm in doesn't slow down on the uphill for this bridge. So I sit at the back, get a good draft, and then the idea is that I come through all of them with some speed. So here I come, and so I take them all over the top of the bridge at a good pace, and so that they've got a good decent paced rider at the front, that they can then all get a draft from, regroup onto me. That's the idea, and we haven't really lost any speed at all. And then what we have done is, again, we've now made up some seconds on the people in front of me, and just as we go to the top of this bridge, there's the Cat C rider that I've got in my crosshairs, TVP. So this TVP, I can see that they are pretty isolated, Not sure if they're on their own or if they're in a group of two, but they're pretty isolated. Whereas I'm in this nice big blob, traveling at a good speed, resting in. If you look at my draft, I'm getting 160 odd watts of 190 watts now, 200 watts of benefit. So I'm doing 200 watts, 230 watts now, less than if I was on the front of this group, traveling at the same speed. So this is really important. If you're a Cat C rider, it's really important, when you've got these high speed blobs going on, to get right in the middle of them and take maximum advantage of the draft. Getting off to one side is no good. Being up the front is no good. You need to be at least 3 deep if you can to get maximum draft. And if you see here, I come through, and you see my draft now goes down, 150. But what's important to me is that I keep these guys incentivized to keep pressing on, because I need this Cat C rider back. And there we go. So we've got him. So my hope was that TVP would be knackered and go straight out the back, but that wasn't the case. It was pretty obvious that he had a bit of energy left, because as soon as we sort of got level with him, he stuck in a bit of effort, got himself up to our speed, and so he's now in the group with us. S. McKay there, you can see at the bottom of the list, he's now a minute behind. So that group of C's behind me, they're done for. Nothing to worry about too much here. I can see one of my mates in a Cat B rider, actually, a chap called Simon, who goes by the name of Scoop in Zwift. I can see him up in front of me now. So we're rolling up to him. He's got himself stuck in a group of two. So he's working hard, but he's never going to stay away from us. 2 people are never going to stay away from a group of 10, really. I'm not really that bothered about whether we catch him or not, but I do my turn on the front because I can, and because it's the right thing to do. It's only a short turn, but it's just enough to let everybody know that I'm still prepared to pull a little bit, and then I tuck back in again. It's really a case now of just conserving as much energy as possible, because I know we've got a pretty long climb to get back out of the jungle, long draggy climbs are my nemesis. Short punchy climbs I can get over. Long draggy climbs, which this is, to get out of here, they are my nemesis. So I don't want to do too much energy here. I've got no reason to catch Simon in front of me. Doesn't do any benefit for me, really. So it's just a case of staying near the front of the group, just marking it all out, making sure that if there is a sudden surge on the front, I'm with it, and not stuck with a gap between me and it. And the idea really here is to just keep the pace and the pressure and the power as steady as possible. Keep those surges, as low as possible. Try to keep it all really, really smooth, because all those little micro surges, they all end up just putting a tiny bit of fatigue into you. And the idea really is to just try and avoid here at this stage, all the time we're going on the flat, any of those kind of little micro surges, just trying to keep it really smooth and really even. I've got my watts per average down to 3.2 now. So there's tons in the bank should I need it, in terms of additional power if I need to use it, without any risk of going over the 3.4 limit. Not that I have any intention of going anywhere near the 3.4 limit, but if I really, really need to, I know I don't have to worry about that now. So the power up I've got is the aero power up. So that's going to be of no use to me whatsoever on the coming climb out of the jungle. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, there's only really 2 places to use that, and that's when we've come out of the jungle climbs and we start descending, if it's an appropriate place to use it to get away from the other Cat C rider, if he's near me, then I might consider using it. But really, for me now, this is just a case of holding on to the aero to the end and then using it in the final sprint. Right, so on this long draggy climb now, and what I'm looking for here is this TVP person showing any kinds of weaknesses. I'm just looking for any little gaps. If there's a 1 second gap, anything at all that makes me think that they're struggling, but they're tucked right in with me. They're doing exactly what I would do. Just tuck in, and they're basically monitoring me. I'm monitoring them, and we're all just going up this climb. I'm obviously keeping a really tight look on the front of the group and a really tight look on TVP, just to make sure that there aren't any surges that might allow TVP to get away from me and leave me with some work to do on my own to bridge across to a gap. But at the moment I'm feeling all right. Heart rate is going up and up and up. That's always the case with me on these long draggy climbs. So I know that by the top of this climb I am going to be, my legs will feel strong, but from a heart rate perspective I will be there or thereabouts, max heart rate. That doesn't mean that I couldn't press on the pedals a bit harder. I can always do some non-aero cycling, anaerobic cycling, but I will be pretty gassed by the time I get to the top of here at this pace. TVP showing no signs of weakness, which is good, I guess. It means there's going to be a bit of a race on. So it just makes it all a little bit more exciting, knowing that there's a person in the race in my category that's looking pretty decent and pretty strong. So now it's just a case of just pressing in. We're halfway up the hill. As long as nobody goes on the attack, it's really just a case of man marking TVP to the top now. So I can see that M Graves is now 1 minute 11 seconds behind, but they're only just coming onto the climb. I'm not expecting them to come up the climb as quickly as us, so I would expect that we will take a ton of time out of M Graves and S McKay over this climb, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we're up around the 1 minute 30 or even more by the time we get to the top of this climb. So nothing much happening really. Everybody's in. TVP is in, not really showing any signs of weakness. He's probably looking at me thinking I'm not showing any signs of weakness. What he doesn't know, of course, is that my heart rate's at 171, so I am working pretty hard at this stage. We're 2/3 of the way up, and my assumption is that TVP is a Cat C rider as well, so they're going to be working hard as well, right? They're going to be finding it hard. I'm finding it hard. There's no Cat C riders are going to be in this group going at this pace and not be finding it hard with all these Cat Bs and Cat As around us. Right, so we're coming up to the last, 20-25% of the climb here. Nothing's really much changed. Nothing really much has changed in terms of pace or effort. I'm still at 171, just gone to 172 beats per minute. So I'm sort of fairly steady at that range. And then I see a few power-ups come on, and I'm like, oh, right. Are these people dumping their power-ups because they think that there's an opportunity to get a different and better power-up, or are they using their power-ups to get away? So I think, right, I need to be with this front group just in case they were using these power-ups to actually put some pressure on the group and get away. But doesn't seem to be the case. But when I look back, I see TVP's got a 1 second gap. So I'm thinking, right, this could be it. Maybe TVP has cracked. I'm certainly not going to do any work on the front because I am close to the limit now, and the last thing I need to do is burn myself out and then not be able to hang on over the top. So there's nothing I can do to make this group go faster. All I can do is keep looking at TVP, who's 1 second behind, and keep thinking to myself, is this the moment where they crack? And then, as you can see, it's not. In they come, and they're right back with the group again. So that wasn't the opportunity. So I'm really glad I didn't tire myself out and try to push the group on harder there, because that could have been a disaster. Right, so we're up the main climb. At this point, I can't actually remember if we do the next climb out, but my assumption is we're going to go up past the windmills. So again, that's another little bit of climbing to do. So it's really important now to just try and get the heart rate down a little bit here, as much as possible, ready for the next climb. And do it all again, really. Keep an eye on TVP, keep an eye on any brakes up the front, see if I can get in any brakes up the front if they do go. But most importantly, number one is make sure that TVP doesn't get away from me. Managing to get the heart rate down a little bit, but quite deep into the race now. For me, 35 minutes at this pace, my heart rate's never going to really go back down particularly low now, because I'm quite tired at this point. So back on the climb now. Again, another long, draggy climb. Now, at any moment, I'm expecting now, with this being the last climb for this particular course, I'm expecting some people to use this climb now as the place to push on and put some pressure into this group. So I'm going to stay as near to the front as I can, so that if that pressure comes, if I can, I'm going to try and react to it. That's my mate Simon in front of me with the grey hair and the orange glasses, just to my right hand side there. So the TVP is clearly doing exactly the same as me. So that's TVP with a red hat, by the way. So TVP, he's staying right up the front. I'm staying right up the front. I think it's fair to say that our game plan is pretty much identical here. So, wherever TVP goes, I go, and then wherever I go, TVP follows, and we're just marking each other out. Now, at this point, I notice some people started going up the road, and I'm toying with the idea, do I try and follow this and use this as an opportunity to put some pressure into TVP? But I think, no, there's no point, because if I do, he'll just get onto my back wheel, I'll do all the work, and he'll get a free ride, and that's no good for anybody. So I just work quite hard, get to the front of my little group, trying to put a little bit of pressure into TVP, but not going silly, not going full gas, just kind of keeping the pressure on. There's Simon again. Simon's really, really good on these long drags. And as you can see, he just cycles away, and I think, no, I don't need to follow him. I was really tempted to follow him and let him just kind of drag me away, but you can see TVP is basically directly behind me. There's one person between me and him. I'm just thinking, I just don't think it will stick. Just don't think it will stick. So I decided to stick in behind this chap here, G Sack. He's going up at a fairly decent lick. TVP, there's a 1 second gap, so I'm quite happy with that. Nobody's getting any particularly good drafts anyway at the moment at this speed going up the hill, so there's no real benefit being in a particular group. But what I'm thinking is I'm with a Cat B rider here. TVP is now 2 seconds behind, so I'm thinking, right, TVP is really beginning to struggle now. So I need to go with this Cat B rider, and I need to get this Cat B rider to work with me over the top of the hill to then really start pressing on. So at this stage, my heart rate's 173, so I'm working hard. I can't take the lead, even if I wanted to. My heart rate's just too high, unfortunately. So I do have to lean on this chap a little bit and just let them carry on doing some work along this this flat section. I absolutely would come past if I could, but there's no point. I'd go massively into the red, and then I may not be able to contribute after that. So I stay stuck behind. We're going along at a decent pace anyway. TVP's now 3 seconds back, so it's not looking too bad. TVP's got a Cat A rider with him though, and I've got a Cat B rider with me. So you know, this is a bit of a gamble, really. You know, if that Cat A rider is incentivized to ride hard, and then the Cat B rider and TVP, so they've got a team of 3, if you like, and this chap in front of me decides not to ride it hard, then, you know, three generally speaking can catch 2. But at the moment I'm quite happy. This G-Sack guy is pressing quite hard on the pedals. You know, going along at a decent lick here, you know, nearly 50 kilometers an hour. I've had a little rest. I've got my heart rate down below 170. So I'm just going to come past him now, I think it's the way I do it, and just say, right, I'll you know, press on the pedals here now. I know I'm going to be able to have a rest on the downhill anyway, so I'll take over. I'll get us up to a good speed, really put some pressure on TVP now. So here we are, we're coming up to what, 53, 54 kilometers an hour, and just really trying to put the hurt into TVP as much as possible. Try to get this person to, you know, basically give up. Right, so we come into this nice steep downhill. You can super tuck on here, so I stop pressing on the pedals immediately. So I'm going to go straight into super tuck, and just let the hill do its thing. TVP is now 4 seconds behind, so I'm quite happy with that. Only 5 kilometers to go, and we just get down his hill as fast as we possibly can, and then see how it folds out on the back. And then I look back, and TVP is back in. So clearly TVP and his group have had a massive draft benefit from me and this G-Sack guy. So I'm not going to press on the pedals. I'm like, well, I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to roll along. You can see here, look, even now, I'm not pressing on the pedals. I'm just going to let everybody else is starting to press on the pedals quite hard now. I'm just really, really soft pedaling because I need to be at the back of this group. And then when I look down, TVP, who was apparently right on me, has suddenly dropped back to 5 seconds. So it turns out it was a glitch in the timing. So now I'm thinking, right, I need to actually work again now. But what I need is to work with this chap here, G-Sack. So I let G-Sack come past, and I'm thinking, right, 3.4, 3.5 watts per kilo on the front. That's not too bad. Really, we need a bit more than that. So I'm just kind of looking and looking and looking. I'm thinking, right, this isn't enough power. This needs to be going a bit quicker. So I'm going to come through to the front now. I'm going to, you know, provide a draft for this chap. Just try to keep the pace up along this off-roady section. I know I've got a little downhill coming along, so I know I can take a rest. So just try and increase the speed here. Try to get to this top hill section at sort of 40 kilometers an hour if I can, this downhill section. That was my sort of intention. It's hovering around the 40 kilometers an hour. And then here we go downhill. And now what I'm hoping now is that this GSAC person, who I can see is doing 4 watts per kilo behind me, wants to contribute and wants to come through. But they're taking an age to do it. They're just, they're not pressing hard. They're not working as hard as I am. They're just doing 3.1. I was doing 4.5. They're doing 3.1. And I'm thinking, so well, this person is not incentivized to win, to stay away. They're not racing. They're certainly not working with me. Could be that they're knackered. Who knows? But they're not working with me. This isn't going to work. So for me now, I realise that TVP is definitely going to get back on again, because we're in a group of 2 where only one person's working hard, and they're in a group of 3 and they are quite working hard. So for me now, it's just tuck in, conserve energy, and wait for them to catch back up. And you can see that they're only 1 second behind now. So so although I'm at the front here, I'm not working all that hard. I just happen to be in the front, but it's just because the other person's not pressing on the pedals particularly hard either, really. So right, here we go. We're all back together again. And so now what I need to do is I need to get to the back of this new group as quickly as possible. So I'm soft pedaling. I'm allowing them to come through. Obviously, TVP doesn't want to come through. TVP wants to be behind me, which is exactly what I'd want to do. But I'm just soft pedaling, doing everything I can to try and get behind TVP, who's doing everything they can to try and get behind me. But eventually I do. Here we go. I'm at the back now, which is about where I want to be. TVP's putting me along, so now TVP is using energy to keep me going along, and that's what you're trying to do, right? It's all about energy. So he's working just that tiny bit harder than me. Not much, but it all adds up. I've got my average watts per kilo down to 3.1 now, as you can see. So again, there's no risk whatsoever of getting disqualified for being over the 3.4 watt average limit. I've held on to my aero power up because there was no advantage to use it really in the downhill section. There just wasn't enough of a gap, and I wasn't with somebody I had confidence was going to work with me, so I didn't use it there. So now it's all about waiting for the sprint and using it there. I've never raced head-to-head with TVP, so I have absolutely no idea what their sprint's like. So it's just a case of marking them out and then waiting for as long as you dare wait. Now I've screwed this sprint up, oh God, many times. I've often ended up doing a bit of a long one because I just get a bit anxious that I'm leaving it too late, and end up going with 600 or 700 meters out and then fading at the end. So my game plan here, unless anybody else goes, my game plan here is to hold back until 400 meters and even 300 meters if nobody else has gone, but certainly hold back for until there's 400 meters or less to go. We're not pressing on the pedals particularly hard here. Nobody's really forcing it along too much, which suits me just nicely. TVP's in front of me, so that suits me as well. I'm at the back. We're not going particularly fast, so the draft isn't particularly brilliant, but 90 watts saved is 90 watts saved, right? So we come around the corner, 600 to go. I'm getting quite anxious now, and I'm just thinking about my sprint and when to use my power up. I think I use it about 400 if I remember rightly. So So yeah, it's 400 to go now. And yeah, hit the aero boost, full sprint, and away we go. And I look behind me, and TVP's doing 4 watts per kilo, 5 watts per kilo, and I'm doing 7 or 8. And the race is won. It's all over at that point, really. And there we go. And TVP lost by nearly 4 seconds at the end, and that makes me quite happy. And so that's it. That's how I race a Cat C race, scratch race in the Ribble Racing League series.